So thank you all for getting together. Um, Purpose of this is to introduce us to Accenture Federal Services. So Stephanie Hoaglin, who I know many of you know, she was the keynote speaker a couple of years ago at MMX up in Youngstown. Stephanie's background came from Rock Island, and then Stephanie was the director of OIB modernization here at AMC. And she liked us so much that when she left the government, Accenture joined NCDMM as both an alliance partner and an American Makes member. So we made some kind of good impression while she was in the inside. So we appreciate you all being here. And Brandon, who is also on from Accenture, is a director, and he's up in the National Capital region. So appreciate both of you taking the time, appreciate all the time you spent going through the onboarding process to become an alliance partner and also an America Makes member. And we're looking forward to getting some cool project work going with you all. As I described to our Accenture friends before this call, is the purpose of this is the way that NCDMM works is it's really driven by our project managers. And so the best way to identify and watch for opportunities to partner and work together is for our project managers and our program managers to understand who you are and what you do. And so that's why we're here today, is to give an overview of the company and let folks ask questions and all that kind of stuff. And then I expect out of this, we're going to have a bunch of follow-up action items. I know, Stephanie, we already talked about one as far as getting a bunch of us up to the Forge in DC area. But so with that, I'll be quiet and let Stephanie drive. You're welcome to share screens, and then we'll go from there. And please, everybody, participate, ask questions, all that kind of stuff. So thank you for taking the time today. I know things are a little bit busy around here.
Yeah, happy to come over. I will kick us off, and I'm going to actually hand it over to Brandon to run the first portion of the conversation, but I'll do a little bit more of introductions just to kind of level set everybody. I see a lot of names of people that I recognize on there, both NCDMM as well as America Makes and Alliance Partners. So yes, Stephanie Hoaglin started at Rock Island Arsenal in the factory there at the Joint Manufacturing Technology Center. So lots of experience actually making gun tubes and making the mounts for the gun tubes and helping Waterfleet with their gun tubes. But that was part of the Take-Home enterprise, and did that for a majority of my career. Ended up in Huntsville after a series of different positions in the government, bounced around quite a bit, but went down to Huntsville when General Daly was there to work on the OIB modernization implementation plan for the Army. Where I met all my wonderful friends in this forum and drank the Kool-Aid a lot because I really appreciate the MIIs and what they do for the services. Yes, my focus is primarily Army, but obviously a love for all services and the work that they do and the things that get done in these types of environments, I think, are extremely beneficial, not just to the Army, but to all of the services writ large. After working on OIB mod for a couple years, realized that there is a need to hop over to the industry side to help them get their messaging to the government, to help them kind of obtain some of the technology that you guys have to offer. There's a large gap, I think, in communications between industry and government for a multitude of reasons that I'm sure many of you have experienced many times. And so what I hope to bring to the table as I leave the government to go work at Accenture Federal Services is a little bit of continuity between the two and the ability to bridge some of those gaps. And so as I joined Accenture, Brandon actually has kind of led me through that transition. He's been an amazing partner, a wonderful colleague, and we are here today to kind of share what Accenture does and some of the support we've already done for the Army and some of the other services. So with that, I'll hand it over to Brandon to introduce himself.
Yeah, and real quick, I actually don't have the presenter. If someone could give that to me so I can share screens. And while you're doing that, I'll give my intro. And I think Stephanie and I actually balance out each other very well. While Stephanie's brand new to Accenture, I'm relatively new to the Army world. I've been at Accenture for about a decade now, across kind of various parts of our federal civilian business, over in our defense business, and I've spent about the past year and a half over on the Army side, kind of supporting all things around our growth strategy. So what that really means in our language is a big part of Accenture that I'm going to talk through here in a bit is all of the commercial work that we do. We've got about 800,000 folks kind of floating around the globe doing different professional services work, both for commercial and federal customers. And my job is really to kind of take the best of what we're doing there and kind of bringing it over to our federal customers. So looking forward to talk to you all today. I think I'm still just waiting here for a second on the screen share.
Copy that. I am trying to figure that one out. I'm not the meeting owner, so don't know why it won't let me give you that. But what I can do for now is drive from here, and you just tell me where you want to be.
That works. I think I just changed one slide around from what we sent over to you, so I'll just tell you when to shift over.
Okay. Should be it here. You all seeing that now?
Yep,
Yes.
it's up.
Awesome. Okay. Cool.
All right, cool. So like I just mentioned, for those that are unfamiliar with who Accenture is, we're the world's largest professional services organization. So actually one of the largest IT organizations in the world. We're just about 800,000 folks globally. Like I mentioned earlier, we've got about, I want to say maybe 50,000 or so within the United States, 14,000 of which specifically support our federal customers. So while we have our kind of broader Accenture engine, Stephanie and I specifically represent Accenture Federal Services. So we are a wholly owned subsidiary of Accenture globally. We're actually headquartered out of Dublin, Ireland. So for FOCI purposes, we're a kind of separate subsidiary that kind of has the benefits of working with our global business, but is also completely segregated for all of the federal regulations that we have to comply with. And of those 14,000 or so, we have just under 2,000 veterans that we're super happy to support, both our defense and our civilian business. And right now we are supporting every cabinet level agency, all branches of the Department of War, as well as 10 different COCOMs. And I think, again, the kind of big focal point that we really like to hammer home on really what makes us different is just the sheer size and scale of the work that we do globally. So as a result, all of our commercial footprint that we bring, as well as all of the commercial capabilities that we bring to our customers, just from all the great work that we've done throughout the globe. Go to the next slide. So again, just a little bit more to kind of hammer home that commerciality. Right now, about 98% of all the work that we do globally is for our commercial customers. So you can think about Fortune 500 companies. Right now, we support about 75% of those. And specifically for the Fortune 100, we're supporting just north of about 90%. So a lot of the world's biggest companies, we are some part of their either IT or their kind of management consulting journey, one way or another, really helping to kind of drive the true modernization that they're looking to do as they transform their businesses. Think of ESPN, NFL, Fortune, Marriott, again, some of like the largest companies in the world. We are some part of their transformation journeys. And then kind of the work that we're doing, Stephanie's going to talk a little bit more about that later on, and kind of like the kind of core scope areas that we hammer home with a lot of our customers. But think of things like AI, cloud modernization, cybersecurity, both kind of modern and digital engineering, as well as a lot of supply chain and logistics work. So I know, like I said, Stephanie's going to get a little bit more into that in a few more slides, talking about how we can take a lot of the best that we're doing in our commercial business and then bring that specifically to the Department of War and very specifically to the Army. But again, just really want to get home a lot of the work that we're doing. It really is taking the work that we're doing with our commercial customers and then bringing the best back to the federal government. Right. So kind of one thing I really wanted to hit here, just from a procurement landscape in kind of a post-Doge era. I think there's a really big push towards outcomes-based delivery, delivering commercial solutions. Again, you'll probably hear me say the word commercial probably 20 times in this presentation. But I think the big thing that we're really focusing on that makes us different again is kind of how we're really hammering home a lot of that work that I think the government is really shifting towards from an outcome-based approach is a lot of the work that we're actually already doing today. So about 60% of the work that we do with our customers is outcomes-based. And we do a lot of work currently for the U.S. Army. Think of things such as the Consolidated ERP program. I think that's probably a big focal point for a lot of customers on the phone here is a lot of the work that we do with both G-Army and LMP. We sustain all of those SAP programs today. We also do a lot of work in the CIO from ETMS2 or TMT. It's kind of the task management and correspondence management tool. And then also we have some enterprise application and modernization work that we're currently doing the CIO as well. So again, just some of the kind of big focal points on kind of what we do with the Army and then what we bring to the table. I think, again, I can't hammer home enough a lot of the commercialness that we're able to bring from our global business.
Hey, Brandon, it's Jim.
Yep.
Are you guys going to get a little bit deeper dive into the AI portion? I see a lot of AI on the slides here as you're going through.
A little bit, not so deep. I'd say happy to have more of a conversation offline and send more materials over. I think we're kind of thinking of this more just like a general overview, but we have a lot of deeper content that we can provide there. I can kind of talk through some of it, but if there's anything specifically you're looking for, we can definitely send that out afterwards.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. You go to the next slide. I'm gonna actually skip one more ahead. I think this is the one that I shifted around. Yep. So the last thing that I'll kind of say here before I pass it over to Stephanie is just really a lot of the transformation that we're bringing. Again, it's not necessarily just through the work that we're doing, but a lot of it is through those partnerships. So the kind of biggest thing that we like to do is not necessarily going at a problem alone, but looking at which one of our industry partners we can tackle that solution with. Right now, we're the #1 largest partner globally and within federal for all of the top hyperscalers. So think of AWS, Azure, Google, a lot of the leading AI companies, again, OpenAI, NVIDIA, Google, Databricks, Palantir. Some of those I'd say we've had longstanding partnerships with, like in the case of Google, whereas some of the newer players such as OpenAI and Palantir, we've actually just recently kind of inked partnership deals, essentially helping each other kind of grow across the federal business, as well as then on the ERP and low-code side of the house as well. So I know I already mentioned SAP is a big one for all the work that we do with Army, but also Oracle, ServiceNow, Salesforce, a lot of those companies that kind of do a lot of that application development work. We are their largest partner, again, both globally and within US federal. And what we really like to do is try to kind of partner this all together to drive our business. So we'll kind of partner in an area where we really want to lean into, and then we'll put a lot of kind of corporate dollars against that. So I think, again, to your point earlier, the biggest area we focused a lot on, as most people have over the past few years, is with AI. We've put a $3 billion investment globally into building out our AI partnerships, upskilling our people in AI, and then building out a lot of AI assets and accelerators that we're able to bring to a lot of our customers. Stephanie's kind of working on a couple of those that she could probably speak a little bit more to later, but then also a little over $1 billion that we put into our broader R&D in this space as well. So again, just kind of wanted to give a macro level lens on kind of the customers that we work with, the type of work that we do. And again, happy to answer any more specifics, but I think in that case, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Stephanie to talk a little bit more specifically about some of the work that we're looking to bring to the Army.
Okay, so you can go, yeah, here we go, back to that slide. So I'm gonna less go over what's on the slide and just kind of, since I've come here, how I see Accenture fitting into the federal space and the Army space. So I think Brandon may have mentioned, but we have over 60 different federal clients, and so we have a very broad perspective of the types of work and then the types of solutions that folks are looking for. But one of the things that sticks out to us is the similarity in some of the things that the different services are trying to get after, or that the building are trying to get after. And so it's that integration of ideas and that collaboration between all of the different stakeholders, as well as the partners we have, that I think gives us a very good understanding of how to get after some of these problems. And so Brandon mentioned a couple of times, we look at outcome-based business models. And so really what we're trying to do is, instead of just providing support to the Army, we actually want to provide solutions by ways of different operationalizing of processes, or putting different applications in place, or helping them use the things that they have to do business better by laying AI on top, or by creating different mechanisms to use the tools that they already have. One of the conversations that we have frequently is that we're very much software agnostic, and that our reach back into the corporate world, as well as the partnerships that we have, gives us the capability to look at a problem from a very holistic standpoint and figure out different ways to get after it, and then tailor the solution to really meet the needs of the customer, as opposed to picking a specific software and then trying to push that into a solution and make it fit. The nice thing about it is because we've got so many folks who have so many different backgrounds, we can really get after a problem from a bunch of different perspectives. And so we can look at things like different uses of AI to get after something, and different processes to change the way that they do business, as opposed to just trying to add another layer of tech on top of something. It gives them a little bit more freedom in how they get after their solutions, and it allows us to get very intimate with the data. And so one of the areas that we focus on a lot is, Brandon mentioned, we do a lot with the Army's ERP. And so because we're so familiar with that data, we're able to help them brainstorm how to use the different aspects of data that they have to either make different risk-based decisions, or create different dashboards to help them see different aspects of what's going on within their system currently. And so we've really spent a lot of time building up the security portion of that, as well as looking at how their things are captured in LMP. And so one of the things we've recently done for them is create an automated help desk that actually reduced touch time. I think it was over like 50 hours a week. They cut down people waiting for someone to get after the solution, and back and forth between an operator and a person. They've done such a good job automating what the help desk looks like, that they've got it down to about a 12-minute response time. And they cut down the tickets by hundreds of tickets per week, because they no longer have to have a human in the loop to do the correction, because many of the corrections are just redundant, repetitive things that they can use that AI to get after. And so we've saved the Army a lot of time by being able to get after some of those things. If you could go 2 slides forward for me. There we go. So I think this is one of the important takeaways, is this is a list of a lot of the capabilities that we have. And I'm going to highlight some of the capabilities and how we get after them. And then I'll give you a couple of use cases of things to show kind of to highlight what we've been able to get after. So one of the big areas that I've been working in since I've come over to AFS is their digital manufacturing and transformation practice. And so what that means is they've got a lot of like model-based systems engineering solutions, LiDAR scans, 3D modeling, data modeling, creation of twins, and utilization of those types of capabilities to get after stress tests, to look at different methodologies for supply chain management, as well as warehouse optimization. So that'll lead me to a couple of use cases. So one, because we have our commercial reach back, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll go look at a solution that we implemented in the commercial sector, and then bring it over to the federal sector and say, hey, is this something that you'd like to consider? So one example of that is we worked with Ford Motor Company to look at their digital twin of their supply chain and do a stress test. And we found, by working with Ford, that they had a critical component that was actually just one part that was made by one vendor, and the lead time on that part was so extensive. And what was funny was they found out that the part itself actually didn't take a long time to make it. It's just that they only ordered it at a certain frequency, and because they didn't have enough on hand, it became a bottleneck in their process. And so by noticing just that one instance that was really deep in the supply chain, they were able to fix that and save themselves about $350 million a year in losses. They used that same process at Corpus Christi recently, and went and did the same type of scan and look at their supply chain. Corpus was having an issue with maintenance on a certain rotary wing that they were working on, and they ended up finding out that they were doing this maintenance process that took about, I think it was like 88 hours. And what they found was the thing that they were doing maintenance on, they didn't actually need to do maintenance on as frequently. And so depending on a certain status of what the part looked like when they tore it down, they could choose whether or not to do that maintenance or not. And they were able to save themselves about $200 million dollars in maintenance that they were unnecessarily doing, as well as reduce their lead time. And so using those model-based systems and our digital twin capabilities, they were able to save themselves both time and money. And so using the commercial solutions, implementing them on the government side, and then helping the Army to be more effective with their dollars and their time. Another couple of things to think about, we do a lot of work with DLA specifically. And so one of the areas we've focused on is their warehouse utilization and the use of LiDAR to do warehouse storage optimization, as well as the use of drones to do inventory. And so with our work through DLA, we've been able to maximize their storage space, as well as their efficiency with pulling products for the various services. And because of our optimization study at one DLA site, we were able to save them over $900 million in 1 year by utilizing the technologies that we have access to include the LiDAR scanning, as well as the warehouse utilization AI tools that we've developed. And so it's really nice to be able to listen to problems that these customers have, especially in the federal space, and tie them back to something that's happened in industry, because more than likely industry has already experienced the same problems that the federal space is experiencing. And with the new administration's willingness to accept more commercialized solutions and maybe go a little bit more lax on some of the regulations that are in place, we can implement some of those solutions more readily than we've been able to in the past. And so I don't know if anyone's having any questions on any of the things you see on the screen, but this is just a list of some of the capabilities that we have to offer as a partner to our government friends.
Stephanie, how are you guys getting under contract? Do you have mechanisms, or how's the DoD getting to you?
All the standard ways, right? Like we're putting out, or we are bidding on contracts, as well as joining things like NCDMM Alliance Partnership. We participate in various consortia, and then very willing to partner with businesses both large and small. Brandon, do you want to add on?
Yeah, I'd say macro level, we're on a bunch of GWACs for, government-wide vehicles. We're on a few Army-specific vehicles within the Army. We have a few other, defense-wide vehicles that we're able to use. And then we have a couple of vehicles within the Army that we can, append scope onto if it's relevant enough. So there's a handful of different ways, I'd say, depending on the scope. It's always easier to see kind of what we're looking at and then figure out which path makes the most sense.
Anything you're prime on, or is this all partnering?
Yes, those are all prime.
Okay. All right, good. Good to know. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd say to Stephanie's point, I think the big one we're really focused on right now is expanding a lot of the consortia we partner with, as well as kind of just increasing the ecosystem partners that we work with. But yeah, plenty of prime options depending on the scope.
I think Bill's hand up was up first.
Yeah, Stephanie, that you had mentioned about some of these large numbers, 900 million, 350 million, 200 million. Are these cost savings made up of primarily labor, or is it material, or is it a combination of?
It's a combination of depending on the situation. And so for the DLA one in particularly, it was a lot of it was touch time and the amount of time it took to pull material out, count material, and get it to where it needed to be. And so because they were able to, they restructured how the warehouse was optimized and then automated a bunch of processes. So they actually removed people from a process and gave them other duties, as opposed to going and like physically counting things. So they saved a lot of it in labor as well as touch time. So some of it is avoidance.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'd say maybe not as specific to this exact use case, but I think one thing, just kind of macro level, how we think is Accenture wise, is a lot of the work that we do is like repeat customers that are pleased with the work that we do and keep coming back to us, not necessarily like, that big 10-year contract that we win. I think it's a lot of, repeat business that drives a lot of our revenue. So a big focal point for us is also cost takeout. And I think that's a big point to Steph's comment earlier on how much Like as a business, we focus on outcomes-based contracting. A big focal point for our business is also how can we take cost out for our clients? And then obviously if we save them a bunch of money, the idea is they want to work with us again to help do that in the future. So just kind of company ethos thing that we really focus a lot on when it comes to designing our IT solutions is that cost takeout piece of it as well.
Okay, thanks.
And
Hey,
then
Ed, you had a
Edward.
question?
Yeah, hi, Stephanie. Hi, Brandon. This is Ed Herderich, the Workforce Development Lead here. I was just curious, as you're going through your range of solutions, what's sort of on the human element side, workforce training, those types of things you guys deploy when you're bringing a solution, whether it's technological or supply chain or software. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to take that at the macro level, and Steph, if you want to layer in a little bit more. Big picture, we have a few different organizations within Accenture. One of them at a global level is called Accenture Song. It's actually one of the world's largest. I'll kind of insert a few different things here, but like human capital, advertising, training, kind of bundle all of the people element together. That kind of falls under that part of our business. We do a ton of training. We do a ton of human capital type work across the board. We do some of that at the Army today, as well as broader across Defense Department. But big part of our business, in addition to the IT transformation piece.
Right. And so Brandon mentioned Accenture Song, and one of the things that folks may be familiar with are the commercial from the Super Bowl last year, the We Build Ships. We actually partnered with the Navy to create that recruiting video. And then from the human capital perspective, just another example of a delivery-based thing that we put together, working with the Air Force, I believe it was. They had an AR/VR solution where they were looking at how they could do maintenance from afar, and we actually created a training module, AR-based training module, where they modeled the commodity and then had the person do maintenance on it based on that training module. So a lot of the things you're seeing is the newest implementation of training and how to use the different technologies to incorporate that training into the maintenance world. We are in that space, both from the AR, VR, the use of drones, some of the blue lights and the video scanning within the factories. We've done a lot of those things and implemented them in various places. Kimberly.
Hi, Stephanie and Brandon. Thank you for this great presentation. Excited to meet you here. I am the Industrial Base Integration Director for America Makes, and was very keen to learn about your capabilities. I've been with the company just over 4 years, and we've been diving in as deep as we can to the supply chain side of this, even though we're more on the research and engineering. We're finding that we have to look at the other side in order to pull forth those technologies. And so my question is, what I'm seeing is a tremendous fragmentation against inside the industrial base, and you can just pick the tech, it doesn't even matter. Struggles for dual use due to certification requirements and regimes. And just an unwillingness on the part of the industrial base to lean in for defense work, partially because of the complexity or the nature of the Department of War as a client. There's just a lot of fragmentation. And I'm wondering, you guys are in a really great position to, make sense of all of that fragmented goodness and find the gaps. And I'm wondering, how you're working on those problems at the moment.
You want me to take it?
Yeah, I'll let you start. I got something
You
to add
lived
on.
that,
You might have more to
Stephanie.
say.
I do. And I still live it, which is fun because everything that I work in Accenture, everyone's like, "Oh, supply chain, Stephanie," and then I get pulled in a meeting, which it's great. So honestly, we talk about it all the time, and we're working on solutions across the board. And I can't get into too great of details, but I will say that yes to the fragmentation, 100% agree with everything you're saying, but I also see that there are some partners who I think are more willing than others. And I think that some of the data that is being looked for by the services already exists within the services in one way or another. It's just coming up with a way to use it and display it and update it in a means that makes sense without getting too far into the details. But to your point, we are working with some of these large companies who recognize this and who also want to help get after the problem, because it doesn't just benefit the services. And I think that's what industry is finally realizing is if they don't come to the table, someone else is going to, and it's going to benefit the enterprise, the defense industrial base writ large to be a part of the solution. So I think slowly, and maybe not like 100% willingly, but getting there, people are starting to gravitate towards this problem and recognize its importance, especially with the state of current affairs. So I think in the next year, if not 2 years, you're going to see some big changes in how this information is used and who has access to it.
Thank you. Brandon, you're talking.
Really
I can't
quietly.
hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. There you go.
Sorry, our microphones on these computers, not to name any companies, but I don't know, these Dells aren't the best, but sorry. So yeah, I think one thing that we're really good at as a company when it comes to kind of scaling across the board is being that connective tissue. Again, just how big we are, we do some work with pretty much everybody. And whether or not it fits within our Accenture Federal business or our Accenture Commercial business, we do a lot of work with a lot of the DIB. We do a lot of work with, chemical companies, manufacturing firms across the world. It was funny, I was just at a meeting with a government or with an Army client a couple of months ago, and they were complaining about some aspect of, how they tied in with a part of the DIB. And I'm like, well, fun fact, I think we actually do that work for that DIB customer. So let's go try to connect the tissue behind the scenes. So I think that's one thing that we're really helpful with as a company is we know a person who knows a person, just how big we are across the board that could probably help solve a problem that you may have. Or know the person at least that can solve that problem.
Thank you. I'm going to be reaching out to you after this call.
No promises, but there's a good shot.
I understand.
Jim.
Stephanie, I know you're going to smile when I ask you this, and maybe this is a little sensitive, but is Deloitte considered a competitor to you? Are you guys in a very similar space from the size of your organization to the level of support you guys offer, or totally opposite?
I mean, we partner with Deloitte, so yes, but they're also our partners.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we actually do work together at Army today. But yes, I'd say we do play in a lot of the same spaces as well.
I'm just thinking about our past work together, Stephanie, back in the day, and I could see you guys sitting in the seat that Deloitte was sitting in as well, performing what we were trying to get done for you back in the day, based on what I'm seeing here on your slides.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarity, but Deloitte is also a partner. So, I mean, it just depends on the day and what's going on, right? Right, Dan?
Bruce, I was noticing that, Stephanie, of course. I was just sending you a nice note saying, good to see you. I need to drop, but it's amazing how similar our work is these days. So it's good to see you. Good to see you all.
I'll hit you up soon.
All right. Bye.
Okay. And then I've got one more slide, actually. And it's probably my favorite thing to talk about, to be totally honest. If you go to the next part. Oh, I have 2 more slides. Okay. So this slide is just a depiction of where all of our offices are. So you can see, I mean, we're a very large company, as we've said multiple times. So we have multiple offices. You'll see some of those are fluid space. The office that I reside in Huntsville is considered a fluid space. So we are at UAH, literally across the street from NCDMM. So I can walk over there and go have coffee with you guys anytime. And so we're in a space called the I2C. It's an innovation center. It's rented to businesses, but we sponsor it. And so when you come in, it has a lovely Accenture sign in the front. It's a very pretty space. But then we do have a lot of other spaces. We have a very large office in Chicago. The one in DC that Brandon works at has a really cool soda machine that I'm super jealous of because I want one in my office. But it is there's lots of places to go. So what's really nice about it is, since we have folks everywhere, every time I go to a new city, I meet people who work there, who live in that city. It's really nice because your network becomes very, very large. And the beautiful thing is all the folks at Accenture are very mission driven and very customer focused. And so it's really easy to get along with everyone because we're very much on the same page. I think you can probably say that about a lot of companies, but I will say I was very nervous about leaving a service position and coming to work in industry. I didn't know what it was going to be like, but I will tell you, it is wonderful to still be surrounded with people who are so mission focused and want to support the warfighter. So with that, my last slide, which is the one that I'm very excited about, is about a place called the Forge, and it was mentioned at the beginning. And so what the Forge is our version of the Innovation Center, and it is a super cool space out by Capitol Hill, and it's where we send federal leaders come to talk about transforming their missions, and we give them opportunities to get hands-on experience with the different AI that we've developed, and we explain to them how some of our AI works. And so what we do there is we either have one-on-one sessions where we can pull them in and we have an innovation lab, and we can talk about a problem set and then sit in there with a couple of technicians and work that problem and develop a solution for them. And so it's a very cool looking space. It's brand new. We did just open that up. But what also happens there is we have these forums. And so there's one coming up called the Google, I think the Google one is coming, right? Yes. And we will have our partners come, and clients can come and see some of our partners' displays and some of their technology and how we work with them to incorporate these solutions into the bigger picture, right? And so you see from the pictures in here, there's a bunch of different spaces. My favorite space is the contested logistics space, which is the one that I've been working on, where we talk about different ways we can get after that contested space and supply chain and support all of the services because it is a joint problem, right? So really, this is a really cool location to bring people to have conversations, to get hands-on for our technology, to see some of the things we've implemented, and then also just have some brainstorming sessions and figure out what right looks like and how we can help the federal services get after their problems. And so that really is, I guess, a great overview of everything that I've learned in the last 5 months when I switched over to AFS. So this is cool. Brandon, anything you want to add about the Forge?
No, it's super cool. Would love to have some folks come visit. I think that it sounds extremely cliche to say, but I always struggle to talk about what we do because we just do so many different things globally. So if there's anything that anybody would like to do a deep dive into, happy to have a separate conversation, bring some more of our experts in to talk about that specific space. Again, I think we can't do anything justice, so we just took the most macro level view to make sure you have a high level understanding of what we do as a business. But yeah, happy to do a deep dive in any specific topics.
Is this a workforce education spin, this Forge is Faster initiative, or not necessarily? Is that an Ed? Ed, would you tie into that, or?
I mean, I'd love to go see it. I think a lot of what we're talking about and thinking about. So maybe one way to frame not just what we're working on, but kind of in our space, there's all these terrific advanced manufacturing technologies, and then it's a scaling of a adoption type problem, right? Which I think there's a lot in common with some of the software solutions that you all are describing, right? In terms of discovery of the specific bottlenecks and then sort of disseminating how those things would work. And we're always looking for great partners and great inspiration on how to bring together that sort of asynchronous and instructor-led training in a way that, that gets some really nice scale. So would love to stop by next time I'm in DC. Over.
And Jim, that's something I've been working with Joe Veronese on as well, to get him in there. We give him a little bit of an overview of what that is, just trying to work schedules so that we can attend one of the events.
Yeah, and when I think about what Accenture brings to the table, especially in the additive space and advanced space, is the integration piece, because I mentioned earlier, we're software agnostic, and I think a big thing that we offer customers is the operationalization, if that is a word, of how they do things, right? It's not here's a solution and then we give it to you and you have to figure out how to connect it. We're the ones who figure out how to connect it and how to make it synchronize with everything else that's happening so that it's meaningful. And whether that's a piece of technology or the software itself, or whatever the system is, we're the one in the back who's trying to help you to get it to function the way that it is supposed to. And so from an AI perspective, when you're looking at like, how do I transfer a digital model to the field in a disconnected environment? Like, that's the space we're working in. How can we help move information to make sure the process completes itself, as opposed to selling a thing, if that makes sense?
Yeah, and then like we're helping out with all these Ford environments, or even in the motor pools and things, right? They want to adopt it. Sometimes it's advanced, sometimes it's just ordinary technology. But to your point, the digital thread runs through that whole value stream, right? You've got to get the CAD file, you got to be able to slice it or turn it into G code or whatever you're working on. Then you've got to be able to do some field inspection or quality at the contested edge. It's not an easy problem on either the physical goods or the digital side.
Yeah, a wicked hard problem, as we like to call it. All right, well, I know the next slide is the question slide, but I think we've asked a lot of questions throughout, but Brandon and I still are available if there's anything else or anything that you want to ask us. Excited to join the team.
What's the best way to, I think there's a lot of interest in seeing that DC location, that Ford you're just mentioning. If we're going to be down there, what's the best way to try to organize a visit?
I'd just say send Steph and I an email and we can figure it out from there.
Great.
Okay, I think
I see Allison has one more
Allison?
question.
Yep.
I do, yes, thank you. And thank you for the presentation. I really appreciated especially your quantifiable metrics of your output. It's very interesting. I'm just wondering, from your client, whether it be industry, government, or whatever, do you tend to see where entities come to you really not knowing what the problem is, so that you have to help them pinpoint or get to that maybe by some traditional methods like value stream mapping or VAVE analysis or stuff like that? And is that something that you guys do as well, versus just, no, I don't want to say just, but solving a pinpointed question? Thank you.
Yes, 100%. It kind of became maybe taboo over the past year or so with those, but yes, we do a lot of assessment type work where we can really help people figure out exactly what their problems are and then help map different solutions. Again, just Stephanie's point earlier, we're very much more not just tech agnostic, but pretty much everything agnostic. We're really just here to help figure out what that problem is, and then once we have that pinpointed, help figure out what your paths for solving that issue could be.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Hello, this is Chris Jones with Trellix. How are you?
Good.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hey, really good presentation. I just want to say thank you. I had a few of my team members that were not able to attend, and I know this is being recorded. Will we be able to actually watch the replay of this with a link?
That's an NCDMM question.
I'm
Yeah, I
going to go
think
out and venture yes, but let me run that to ground and I'll get you an answer, sir.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
being
I
recorded.
think we-
so-
Okay,
we-
thank you.
Yeah, we typically post it, so you'll be able to get access to it, Chris.
Yeah, because there's several conflicts, and so I was able to join, and it was a really good presentation. I just want to make sure we can share that with the rest of our team here.
And happy to link up with anybody offline if you have any follow-up questions. Again, like I said, we barely scratched the surface, I feel like, on a lot of the work that we can do. So happy to take off any sidebars if you have any conversations you want to have.
Oh, understood. Appreciate that. But very good presentation, though. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Well, hey, thank you all. I appreciate it. Stephanie, Brandon, thank you so much for your time. I know you put a lot of work into prepping for this, and we appreciate that. And we'll follow up as discussed.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
Thanks for
everyone.
having us.
Hey, thank you very Thank you. much.
Thank
Great
you.
presentation.
Thank you.